that Sean and Matt know each other well. They played together 2 years at UCLA.
Why are we both on the bench?
There you go. Hey, look, I will tell you this. All due respect to the guy sitting to the right of me, my hair was horrible, but this guy here next to me could have been a pro in football and worked his tail off to have the 14-year career he had in the NBA.
Sean, did you wear a mouthpiece?
I did. It wasn't a mouthpiece. It was like a plastic
was huge.
bar that you just put in your mouth.
We welcome you to another hour of Get Up, coming to you live from above the Heineken River Deck at Pier 17, and here we go. It is time to get up this morning with the Golden State Warriors. Down to the final possession they would go with Portland. Plus, the news on KD's injury is bad, real bad. We got you covered in exactly 1 minute. Then, Zion says he isn't going back to Duke, but one member of our panel says that doesn't mean he has to go to New Orleans if he doesn't want to. He'll explain, and Jalen will jump in. Plus, round one, a roller coaster ride for Tiger Woods at the PGA. Can he still make a charge? We'll go there live for answers as we get up with you, starting right now. Game of the night in Oakland at Oracle. It is game 2, Warriors and Blazers, which means game 2 battle of the Curry brothers, and it with Seth and the Blazers up 15 at halftime. But in the third quarter, the Warriors start firing back, and it's Steph Curry, Sean, who leads the way.
Yeah, the aggression and the energy level picked up offensively. It carried over to the defensive end of the floor, and then once you see Steph Curry kind of get that bounce in his step, that's when you know you're in trouble.
Yeah, that was the ensuing possession right there. So it's the defense, then back to Steph. Now it's a 5-0 run, and then Klay Thompson gets in the act, Jay.
Yeah, transition threes were hard for Portland to find those shooters. And then I got to give Kevon Looney a lot of credit. Along those defensive blitzes, he was the guy causing all those turnovers.
That's an 11-0 run now. Oh, look at a great dime there. Iguodala, Draymond Green, a 13-0 run in less than 2 minutes. They're right back in the game. Fourth quarter, we're tied at 92. How about Seth Curry stepping up big in the battle against his brother?
Timely shots. He hit 3 big shots in the fourth quarter to keep his team in it, and played great D throughout the game. It just wasn't enough.
He did. Look, his parents are sort of torn in emotion and in uniform and everything else. Portland would open up another 7-point lead. So they gave up the lead and they get it back, but then here goes Steph. Warriors within 5. Later, it's still a 5-point game. It's Draymond. Oh, he passes the ball from that spot so well. And again, such a big part of that ball movement when Durant is not playing. Great vision. Golden State within 3. After a couple of Steph free throws, a minute to go. Lillard, no. Seth, yes! Blazers back in front. Look at the Currys. I can't believe it. Ensuing possession. Portland is up 1. It's Steph. It's Draymond. It's Kevon Looney. Oh, they moved the ball so well. Warriors back in front by a point. 40 seconds to go now. C.J. McCollum, maybe Jay Will, that backcourt in Portland getting worn down in these games playing so much D.
Yeah, they're trying to do everything. That was a really tough shot for CJ, one that he made against Denver before. But look, this team, Damian Lillard, had to chase around Stephen Curry, who ran 1.6 miles last night.
Wow.
Here's part of that, and it's a great dish right there for Draymond. So the Warriors have a 3-point lead. We got 10 seconds to go. Blazers down 3. Where are you going to go for the final shot? They need the 3 to tie. Damian Lillard working on Iguodala. There's some contact there, a little more than it might appear on the live action look, but in the end it is a steal. There is no call, and that is all she wrote. In the replay that we'll show you here, you're not going to see some of the initial contact. So the part you see here, there's a little bit on the arm. That's clearly a clean block there, one way or another. No whistle blows, and it is the Warriors who escape, running off with a 3-point win and a 2-0 series lead.
We stole that game. I thought they outplayed us for much of the night, but we brought enough competitive fire in the second half to overcome their great play.
Steph, take us inside Curry versus Curry.
This was like the coolest experience I think I've ever had playing, against him. For my parents, I know we've talked about it the whole series, and these last 2 games, it's probably nerve-wracking as heck for them, but it worked out perfectly tonight. He played well, and we won.
Played real well. Look at this number. Steph and Seth combining for 53. Second most by brothers in a playoff game. Anyone got a chance? A guess who was ahead of them?
The King
brothers.
brothers.
Favorite. What was that?
The King brothers.
Very good. Bernard and Albert King. Yes, combined for 57 on April 20th of 1983. The great Bernard King and his brother Albert. All right, meantime, we got this news, and it's not good from Golden State because Kevin Durant, they're going to keep playing without him for a while. The team announcing he will not play in games 3 and 4 and then be reevaluated next week. Steve Kerr acknowledging last night this injury to the calf, it's worse than they thought.
Just trying to hold down the fort, and hopefully he continues to progress, and he has made progress, but it's a little more serious than we thought at the very beginning. So we'll see where it all goes.
We can't sit and look over our shoulder and say, hey, man, when's K going to be back? We just got to play. With whatever we got to play and give him an opportunity to get back.
We're confident we can win, but we would much rather have him, playing. So we're going to hold the fort down until he gets back and go win, another championship with our full squads.
All right, so a million different directions to take this. Matt, I want to start with you because you said you've had that exact injury, and maybe the notion that he was going to be back in a couple of days was never realistic to begin with.
I think I was in the building for game one, and I think the sense around the team is that they got to do it for KD this round. I don't think KD will be back. I had that injury when I played with the Clippers, and it was like a 3 to 4 week injury. And calves are tricky, similar to hamstrings and groins, because you don't really know they're fully healed until you go 100% in game activity. And if you come back too early, a setback here would set him out for sure for the rest of the season. So you want to err on the side of caution. I think Golden State is really playing a chess right now because if they get up and it's a 3-1. The only way I see KD playing possibly is in a possible Game 7 if it goes that far. But outside of that, I think they're hoping to be able to get through Portland, get some rest before the finals, and have him and Boogie back in the finals.
Yeah, I think it goes to the mental state of what Steve Kerr said after Game 1. He said, look, against the Rockets, this is the group of guys that we played here against Portland in this series. I can basically play everybody and anybody. And we saw mixtures last night in lineups on the court where you had Klay Thompson and the rest of the guys, a bunch of guys off the bench, and Portland was unable to really extend out their lead even in those minutes. What that does is it tells me that they know that they're getting past this series. They know this series isn't going to go very long. And so they're already moved forward into the next series, and that's where their mind is at.
The reality is you're playing against the Portland Trailblazers, okay? Last night seemed like a 2-on-2 basketball game for a lot of part of the game. And Portland actually ranks 9th of all the teams in the playoff in defensive efficiency. You don't need KD. Now, we can go into a whole other conversation about stats and the way he coached and about the actual style that he had, because we can talk about that. But still, they're going to be fine, but you need Kevin Durant to beat the Milwaukee Bucks. I do not think that with this current roster with Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, they can beat the Milwaukee Bucks by themselves because of the physicality and the length. That's where you need KD to be a closer because of his size to close down in big games.
Yeah, and Matt brought up an interesting point. If Boogie comes back and KD comes back, is there any concern about if they advance, them all being able to mesh together again, or no, it's fine?
Chemistry is key. I think the only person I'd worry about with their timing is probably Boogie because he's been out the longest. KD, I think will step right back in form, but getting Boogie acclimated and back in the finals is going to be a tough situation.
I would worry about Draymond Green. He has the second highest usage rate when KD's not on the floor. The ball's in his hands. He almost had a triple-double last night. So I think also when KD comes back, the ball is not in his hands to make plays as much, which that fluidity of their offense, that's the team that we're seeing right now that's scoring at a high clip.
So look, Charles Barkley was just on this show, and he said anyone who says that they're better without Kevin Durant doesn't know anything about basketball. I think he was aiming that at me. And he's just too nice a guy to say it to me on my own show. But I'm not saying they're better without Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is maybe the best player in the world. What I am saying is your point. When Kevin Durant's not there, Steph Curry is one of the best players in the world. Draymond Green shows you why he's so invaluable. Klay Thompson does his thing, and they just look more fluid. They look more like what they used to be, and that team won 73 games and won championship and almost won a second. I get that with Durant, they have a whole other level of option that doesn't exist when he's not there. But there is something to watching them play. They look more joyous. They all look more involved. There is something about watching them play without KD that just looks different and at times almost looks better.
Well, look, here's the deal with them. They do move the ball better. They go to less ISOs, about 10% less in isolation situations as a team with KD off the floor. Why? Because KD's so great in isolation. Give him the ball and he can elevate and he can knock it down at a 70% clip. So that's still great offense. It just looks different. They moved the ball and they played chess last night. They were 20% less efficient in on-ball screen situations than they were in Game 1. They knew that was going to be the case. So what did? They slip screen. They back cut. They were 12 of 14 in back cut situations last night in the game, and they assisted on 71% of their made field goals. This was a team effort that moved the ball and moved themselves.
Two things can be true at the same time. I mean, both styles are championship styles.
Right.
That's how special it is. They can win that way. They can also win when KD comes back. But look, at the end of the day, as long as you win a championship, who cares what the style was that you got it done in?
I understand. But super quickly, just for everyone at the table, because Laura's got to take us to something else. If he doesn't come back, if for some reason this calf is worse than they are even letting on now, do they win the championship without him?
I think it's going to be a very tough road to 3 without Kevin.
So the answer is no? Does that mean no? They don't beat Milwaukee without him or Toronto?
I'm still picking them. But it's going to be tough.
Still think they win?
Still picking them.
I'll say it. I'll take the Bucks.
You'll take the
It's
Bucks
Golden State
over-
against the Bucks.
If KD
I will
doesn't
take the
come back.
Bucks if KD is not playing to win a world
And I'll take the
championship.
Bucks with their length.
Yeah.
You saw just how
That's my
disruptive
thing.
that was in Game 1 against the Toronto Raptors.
Matt, you and I stand united.
I'm with you.
We stand.
Okay.
We stand.
It's a great little bet at the
I
table. I like
don't care if Charles Barkley thinks I'm stupid or not. I'm standing on this. And
Well,
that's all there is
Charles
to it.
Barkley still thinks the Trailblazers are going to win. Watching that video, Matt Barnes goes, "Man, he's big."
Yeah, he's a
Now,
grown man.
Against
285.
Grown man.
those were against
Actually,
high school
but
players.
we haven't had a chance to ask you that. This is not what we're planning
Your
to talk
thoughts
about.
on Zion?
Yeah, what do you see in that kid?
I love it. I love it. You know, if you think about it, at his weight right now, he's top 5 in weight in the NBA. He's big as the centers and everything. So I love him. I think he's a transitional talent. We're obviously going to have to wait to see. The most hype possibly ever because LeBron came after the social media era. This is a social media era, and his kid's every move has been watched, and it's going to be watched. And the reason why I think he's going to go to New Orleans is I just don't think you want to start your career that way. You know, you don't want to put a bad taste in people's mouth. You're very talented. You're blessed to be the #1 pick. Go do your time, and if it's not somewhere you want to stay, you'll be able to get out of there, after your first contract.
He's the epitome of positionless basketball. He can guard 5s and he can guard 1s.
But look at Barnes. He's getting one day, and he's already segueing us directly into where we want to go, which is this whole notion of whether he should want to be there or not, whether it's good for the league or bad for the league for him to go there. There's no question, there was sort of a general sense of deflation, I think, around the country, a deflated nature that so many people outside of New Orleans, of course, had, that he isn't going to one of these more glamorous teams and more glamorous markets. And Charles Barkley, again, who was terrific with us earlier today, was like, I'm sick of that. Like, what, we only want the guys to go play in the big markets. Why do they even have these small market teams? So I guess I'd throw it out to the table. Is it a good thing for the NBA to have a guy like Zion go to New Orleans and bring a glamorous star there? Ja Morant go to Memphis and bring a glamorous and good young player there? Is that a good thing for the league?
It is a good thing for the league for the smaller market teams. It's a better thing for the league if he were to go to not markets, the market, which is New York, which is the highest rated TV market in the country right now. I think that is even better for the league because it gives them a resource to tap into here that they haven't had in a very long time from a revenue perspective.
If I may, to my dear friend, Mr. Williams, both of those cannot be true. It is not a good thing for the league that he went to New Orleans if it's a better thing for the league for him to have gone to New York. It's either, if he should have gone to New York, it's a bad thing. I mean, you're saying it's a bad thing.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's a decent thing. But I'm saying it's a great thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's a great thing if he were to come to New York. It's a decent thing if he goes to a smaller market team. Giannis is kind of everywhere, but you don't see us talking about, it's almost like the Final Four, Greeny. This is no due respect to the teams in the Final Four because they're great teams, but we weren't as excited about the Final Four
because it's not a brand.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, and I get that.
I'm not saying New Orleans could be a brand. I'm not saying they can't.
Zion a brand enough?
Yes, he is, and that's my feeling on this. Look, Zion, Game 1, I don't care who the Pelicans are playing in Game 1 or where they're playing their game. I promise you it is going to be either on ESPN or TNT. And they're going to have more games on the national level than they've ever had because his brand, because like Matt said, the social media following, he's coming into the league completely different.
But Sean, we're talking about from the NBA's perspective.
That's
as a
fine.
business perspective.
Russell Westbrook is in Oklahoma City.
I understand.
Okay, Paul George had an opportunity to leave that small market and go to Los Angeles and team up with LeBron James and stayed in OKC.
But you're telling me about the individual's perspective. You're not telling me about the NBA's business perspective. You don't think it'd be better for the NBA? Like, you don't think it's better for the NBA that LeBron James is in LA? No. You don't think it's going to be better for the NBA if Russell Westbrook went to the New York Knicks?
I don't. So was it bad when he was in Cleveland?
I'm not saying
was it bad for LeBron James when he was in Cleveland?
It's better. It's better.
You asked me to say bad. I said no. I think it's great. I think it's good. I don't think it's great.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
I think it was great wherever LeBron James was. People wanted to watch. And I think that Zion Williamson has that same kind of makeup to be can't miss. I have to watch and see what he's doing on television. And every time he goes up and he explodes for a dunk or jumps the passing lane or blocks the three-pointer like he did against Virginia, people are going to be watching.
I agree with all that, but they would much rather watch the Knicks do that, him do that in the Knicks uniform than a Pelican uniform. From basketball as a whole, the NBA is better when your historical and major franchises are relevant.
Thank you.
Yeah, I get that, but the one thing I would say
is the Knicks have been relevant in 30 years.
Don't
exactly the point.
Imagine them being relevant
why
again.
Why does it matter if they're relevant now? The sport is growing at a higher rate than it ever has before, and that organization has been part of it.
Sean, international appeal. Think about the
Like
market
you said,
here.
brands.
It's the brand. And
brand travels.
Knicks fans are waiting for this to be reinvented and for this to carry across.
Some of them their entire lives.
Yes.
Don't we all complain, though, when sports are top-heavy with just a few dominant teams? Everybody complains about that. Everybody wants to see things evened out in multiple sports.
But the Knicks wouldn't be, it wouldn't be a dominant team. They have Zion, but they would still, you'd be talking about the Knicks all the time in this market. It's different.
You still might if they get KD and Kyrie.
We will leave it there. Yeah, they still have other options to try and get to. Let's leave it there for the moment. There'll be much more to get to on that. But we have this fella playing yesterday in search of another major championship. His next will be his 16th. It feels very unlikely that it's going to happen this week after the day that he had yesterday. Tiger in the opening round of the PGA Championship at brutal Bethpage. This is the 10th hole, but he was playing it first. He started on the back nine. It's a very long par 4. He would wind up double bogeying that, one of 2 doubles he made on his first 9 yesterday, which was the back 9. Then he switched sides to the comparatively easier front side, and he was better. This was his second shot on the par 5 fourth there, and it would set up this opportunity, and the eagle has landed. So Tiger looked like he might be jump-starting his round a little bit.
Looks like you out there, Greeny.
Well, yeah, except I made a lot more short putts yesterday than Tiger. That just happens to be true. Here, I tell you right now, that's on the par 4 fifth, and he winds up missing that, and that's a bogey. And then here he is again on the par 3 eighth from 9 feet for par. He was 0 for 5 on putts between 5 and 10 feet yesterday. Shot in opening round 2 over 72. A difficult day for Tiger Woods, and he was playing with the best player in the world, Brooks Koepka, who shot 63 yesterday and threatens to run away and hide from at least him. Let's go live to Bethpage, where we bring in 2-time U.S. Open champion Andy North. Andy, what did you see from Tiger Woods yesterday that gave you the most concern?
Well, you've just mentioned it. It was all short game. He wasn't really sharper on the greens. 3 putts. He made the 2 opening double bogeys, but then fought back to get 1 under par. You really felt like he was going the right direction. Then a couple of 3 putts and that poor chip and putt at the 8th, as you just showed. So, some of that's rust. And I think that was basically not playing competitive golf for a month.
And people will question whether sitting out between the Masters and here was a good idea, and it may be something he feels he needs to do to manage his back. But do you think he will look back if he doesn't play real well today and regret the decision not to play in between?
No, I don't think it had anything to do with his back. I think it was all about emotionally that he, what he went through to win the Masters. Then the week after, the 10 days after, had to be just absolutely amazing for him. And I texted with him a little bit during that period of time, and he still was, almost not believing it had actually happened. So I think it's one of those things that he wasn't emotionally and ready to play golf, and he knew that, and he was smart enough not to go someplace and not play well.
All right, fair enough. I have 10 seconds. Just Koepka hold on, go wire to wire here. Is he the best player in the world right now?
Well, he's playing really, really well. It's complete control right now for him. I think if he goes ahead and shoots, even par the rest of the way in, he still has a great opportunity. He's playing awfully well. See what he does today. He could really run away from this field with a good, solid round today. So he's in a great position. And I thought we were going to talk a little bit Raptors-Bucks here. Greeny.
Oh, we will. We'll do that on Monday. Andy. We'll get Andy in, the pride of Wisconsin. He is down to see his Bucks put it together tonight. I have to run. Andy, thank you. We'll see you Monday. Enjoy the weekend. We will most certainly be watching. Coming up, Jalen is going to join us to discuss the Fab Five and the way they may sort of loom over the current Michigan coaching search. It's fascinating. Plus, an ethical debate raging over comments made by Deontay Wilder. We'll play those comments, and Max Kellerman will respond live in our studio. Don't miss it. Next.